Good morning and welcome to the Media Speaks Live Saturday morning hangout. Even though we have been TMS Live all along, so we're going to be switching to a new format coming up soon. It's going to be awesome and amazing. We're going to make really shitty, divisive bottom thirds. Please, everyone, welcome to the show. Sam, I be the Ganji, Sam of the Correct Views, and the band Passing Time, Samuel.
Greetings, unsettled souls. Welcome aboard. I've opened up the question and answer section, so I've been getting comments that we're not seeing until after the show. You will be able to post them now.
Great, and Sam, if you could keep an extra eye on that, and if you get anything interesting or topical or something that we're talking about, feel free to interject that as we go along. We're also joined by Anne Marie. Anne, how are you doing?
Hey, good. How are you doing?
Great. Looking good today. All right. So, in today's top headlines, Donald Trump, there's a media shock. The media is shocked. Wolf Blitzer spilt his wine. Okay? He's like, what? Because Donald Trump is now +2. According to, just Judge Jeanine and, a lot of the talking head pundits, the American people in general, Donald Trump has just had a banner week. He's delivered three amazing speeches in succession. They say, oh, he's reading off the teleprompter, but you know what? I mean, who doesn't in politics? And if it's good stuff, sounds good to me.
Well, he does say that he doesn't do that, so that's a bit of a letdown.
He does that, doesn't do that, because he'll...
Well, the thing is, too, though,
you can tell when he goes off script a little bit and freestyles,
well,
freewheels it a little bit.
You know what it might be, though? I was just going to say, you know what it might be in his defense, is if you look at the newer Passing Time videos, behind me is a little book, and some people probably think it's the lyrics or the notes to the music, and it's not. It's the order that the songs are going in, and it's what keyboard configurations I have. Because if you have, I have a Chord workstation, sometimes there's 4 or 5 buttons you have to hit, or you'll be in the totally wrong bank. And if you try to memorize them, it just isn't going to happen. Mm-hmm. So you will write them in a list, and a lot of times halfway through a song, you'll just look up the number real quick. So now sometimes it might just be...
So it sounds like you're trying, Sam, I hear what you're saying. It sounds like you're trying to justify teleprompting in some way.
It depends how you use it. It depends how you use it. Is he using it because he doesn't have the ability to speak, or does he have things bulleted like we do before the show? Like I have a little notepad under me, and I have all my tabs in order.
I got notes right here.
It depends. Yeah, I mean, if you're using it like a cue card, I don't care. But if you're using it because you have no ability to speak or tell the truth, that bothers.
Okay, well, that's obviously not Trump, who's been freewheeling it for, way too long. They're like, finally, he's just reading what we told him to say. But I think he has a big, large hand in writing those speeches.
Large hand?
Some other people. He has little, teeny, tiny hands, but he just had a campaign shakeup where Paul Manafort's out, Bannon's in, Conway's in. Some people are saying they're doing a good job. Some people are critical of both those individuals. Did either one of you have any thoughts about the shakeup in Donald Trump's campaign? And also, how did you feel about his speeches this week, where he was talking about radical Islamic terrorism, where he was also making a strong appeal to African Americans in the United States of America, and where he also played the humility card, as some people might say, where he said, hey, I'm sorry if I said some things that hurt you because you can't handle words. Did either of you have opinions about any of those things? Go ahead, guys. Let's hear it. Sam.
When the gentleman from Breitbart was brought on to Trump's campaign, there was some talk about Hillary saying that Breitbart was a news organization that didn't have a right to exist. Do you know if there's any...
She wants to shut him down.
I didn't get a chance to vet that before I went live, but I wanted that. That was my immediate thought when you said it. That was completely uncalled for.
Okay, and what do you know of Bannon? Anything?
I like Breitbart. I'm a rather big fan of Milo Yiannopoulos. So I mean, it's for me.
Are you gay for him?
No, that I'm not. But it was funny because he posted a video of, I don't know, some leftist, might have been Tess Holiday, I don't know, but a really obese model in a bikini. And I left him a tweet. I said, "Thanks, Milo. Now I'm gay too."
Anne-Marie, how do you feel about that Trump news that I was just bringing up?
I'm still not pumped for Trump, and I think
do you believe that
he's
he's +1? Do you believe that he's +2 in the polls as of today? Do you believe that's a reliable poll?
Well, the last time I looked at the polls, like, even last night, I mean, he was behind Hillary. And like I said, I'm not a Hillary supporter either, but I'm just looking at different things. And basically, what's going on is, now we're not talking about the states that are going to go one way, like Alabama is going to vote Republican no matter what. We're talking about battleground states.
Okay.
And that's like, those states, those battleground states
Pennsylvania,
have, like,
Ohio, Florida.
Yeah, I want to
Right,
interject though. Now that we're in Ohio, you'll notice this, Anne-Marie. And for those of you that don't know, she's new to the state. The debates play a very big role here. For instance, Gore had a substantial lead over Bush in many polls prior to the debate. And after Bush brought out a few obvious things, such as John Kerry, my fault. When he asked John Kerry, how are you going to unite the military when you told them they were on a useless war? And there were a few points that Bush made that made Kerry look like a dolt. And after that, the state went to Bush. So Ohio, I don't know about Florida so much, but Ohio, don't judge it until you've had the debates over. I have noticed that living here.
All right, so maybe I was jumping the guns talking so much about, polling data as of today. The first debates aren't going to happen until September, Anne-Marie.
Well, in Ohio right now, it is fairly close. But the battleground states are states that there's like a more diverse population. And like you said, like Pennsylvania, Florida, like Virginia, I mean, Hillary's VP pick is from Virginia, and she's ahead there, of course.
And he's done a terrible job and people don't like him.
Actually, no, I want to talk about him too, but actually he's got like people who like him on both sides, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But basically, what's surprising is Georgia, which is usually a solid red state, that actually may go Democratic this time. But anyway, my point is that when you look at the polls, and I was looking at them last night, she is ahead in the battleground states right now. So, you have to look at the national scope of things. And I know that what you're saying is this week Trump gave some speeches where he was trying to appeal, I guess, not successfully to me, to the black population, it's basically like, hey, black population, I know that I have a lot of racists who are in my camp.
No,
but
Anne-Marie,
I don't believe, yeah.
I'm just going to cut you off there. It was more like, hey, black people, what have you got by voting Democrat for the past 40 years? Crap and nothing, higher crime rates, more drugs, more poverty, more welfare, more food stamps, not doing for yourself, no work, no job. It's a bunch of crap. What do you got to lose by voting for me? Huh? Donald Trump.
I was going to say that.
Okay.
But it's basically like, what do you got to lose by voting for me? Now,
He said exactly that.
I think that Hillary is going to do so badly against Trump in the debates that Trump is going to win by such a decisive victory that he won't need the battleground states. I think he is going to utterly destroy her in the debates, and I think he's going to win by a landslide. I think it's going to be an almost Reagan landslide, because she's terrible.
Oh, no, I totally disagree.
I have strong opinions about that, too. I mean, she's one coughing fit away from losing the debates. I mean, like, Anne-Marie, do you want to just fast forward to what you think the debates will be?
Well,
that's all speculation. Let's stick to the facts.
Wait, well, I think that, Hillary, she is a master debater. Do you remember that guy who got, kicked off a Southwest flight for wearing that shirt, Master Bader? Remember that? Do you remember that story?
Yes.
She's a master debater. She should get a hat that says that because she is good. She is
She's
smart.
gonna be
She's good in front of the
dismantled.
camera. No, she is a politician. Oh my God, she was Secretary of State. She's talking all the time in front of cameras. I think that she's a master debater. Someone should slogan that, trademark it, because it's
No,
gonna make money.
what's she gonna run on? Destroying Libya? She's got nowhere to go.
Sam, you think immediately I would disagree with everything you're about to say, but Anne Marie does have a point. I mean, Hillary Clinton did fairly well, I mean, among Democratic supporters and her base when she debated Bernie Sanders, who is sort of semi-Donald Trump-esque in some regards, in some areas. I mean, she was forced really far left, but there is no doubt that she's gotten this far and is the candidate because she has some debate skills. She's not her husband. She's not her husband.
You wouldn't say that if you went back and you remembered what the lead that she had before President Obama, who nobody'd ever heard of, Senator Obama, I should say, utterly destroyed her, and she's up there like stuttering and stammering. She was destroyed against somebody in her own party before she destroyed Libya.
So, Anne-Marie, how do you feel about that? Because basically Sam is saying that Obama, then Senator Obama from Illinois, destroyed former First Lady and Senator from New York, Hillary Clinton, in the 2008 debates.
People liked her more then.
And her popularity was soaring back then, and you know she wasn't so old and decrepit and unhealthy. And also,
Obama
look, this year people are looking back at the statistics from 2012 and Donald Trump versus Mitt Romney when that doesn't seem like a real comparison. But if you go back and look at 2008, Trump is the change agent. He is more like the we need change of Obama, and Hillary is more like McCain as the old school establishment. We've had enough of these old white people thing.
Well, okay. Well, let me just say this about debating. I mean, Hillary has messed up, and so has Trump. I mean, speaking to people, Hillary messed up by saying about putting coal miners out of work. And that was a big mess up. She also messed up just at Nancy Reagan's funeral where she, said, oh, well, they did such great things for the AIDS crisis when that total opposite happened. Those are huge mess ups. And the state of West Virginia, they were totally against, they were for Bill Clinton, West Virginia. I mean, there's a Democrat there, that Joe Manchin, he was for Hillary. It was an embarrassment that she said that, but I know what she was trying to say. She messed up her words, and so has Trump. Trump messed up talking behind closed doors to Congress, to senators. We heard from that Sanford, and basically, he's messed up too. He didn't really know the Constitution. He didn't know the articles of the Constitution, and they were worried about that. And they're the ones that came to the press and told us about it.
And that's like an Obama 57 states kind of thing, though, isn't it? I remember when Obama said there was like 58 states, or he hadn't visited all 57 states, or something like that. I mean, that's one of those things.
Well, I understand what you're saying, that they're both, both in front of the camera or behind, or even behind the camera.
So you're saying that they both had their slip-ups, they've both had their missteps, and amazingly, how you remember some of Hillary's past ones. Like, I wish I had the recall that you have. So going into the debate, let's say it's, you got Trump and Hillary both there on the stage. I mean, how do you think it's going to play out? Let's just speculate for a little bit. It'll be fun.
Oh, I think it's going to be awesome.
I think Hillary Clinton is one coughing fit away from losing it all.
I'm going to think of that because, listen, this health thing. Yeah, but this health thing I think is ridiculous because I was reading comments.
Really?
First of all, she had like a deep vein thrombosis. And I have that in my family. I told you, while I was pregnant, I had to be on blood thinners. My grandfather was on Coumadin.
And what was it?
We don't know.
What was the thinner? What was the medicine in the thinner? Because Dr. Drew, America's favorite physician, said that she was on some ancient stuff.
No, listen. like, okay, Hillary. Let's just talk about the facts for a second. The Hillary, she provided a doctor from her internist. That's a doctor who has general knowledge of all your body systems. And, you know, her
Okay. Well,
DVT, her deep vein
I want to hear that she's
her
healthy.
deep
Everybody
vein,
tell me.
okay, her deep vein thrombosis was treated. Now, I read some comments online which are not true because I have a lot of experience with blood thinners and I've been on blood thinners. And my grandpa was a policeman, he was a fire chief, and he was on Coumadin. He's 91 right now and still in great health. Now, the thing is, and living at home.
He was on the Coumadin. The same thing that Hillary's on, Coumadin?
Well, we can only guess. We don't know exactly what she's on, but people online are saying, right, and people are saying, oh, that's going to affect her judgment, or that's going to affect. That doesn't affect her judgment. It's a blood thinner.
No, Anne-Marie, they're saying that it's also a side effect of the brain surgery, that she's not all right. It looks like her pants are bulging out as if she's wearing a catheter. She walked a city block and looked as ashen gray as my poor mother did when she had sepsis. That is not a well woman. And it is fair to say this. McCain got grilled like this. I remember that they said Ron Paul was too old. Ron Paul has just started a freaking an entire homeschooling system. Hillary's looks a lot worse than McCain, Cheney, or Paul did.
And what about FDR when he had he was trying to hide his stuff?
But it doesn't. Listen, if it's like people are talking about if she's on a blood thinner and her deep vein thrombosis. Listen, there's blood thinners for that. That doesn't affect your mental state or anything like that.
No, the surgery affected her mental state.
What about that large black gentleman that was by her side with the injection device? What was that all about?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've seen both sides of the story on that. Some people are saying, it's the shot, like we discussed before, for like maybe a seizure, and he's there to do that. Then other people are saying he's not her doctor, he's part of Secret Service, and that was a flashlight in his hand. But you know what I do? Like, I don't look at the close-up shot of his hand. I look at the big picture. The big picture is why would he carry around a flashlight when there's bright lights outside? Or if they're in a corridor, I mean, why would he hold a flashlight? Like, why? Yeah, I don't understand.
Why is he walking like this with a flashlight?
I'm working for the Hillary. I'm working for Hillary.
Uh-oh.
I'm working for Hillary.
Sam, that's just on your keychain that you carry around, right? You have at your ready when you're
walking. No, I was at a culture shock show yesterday, and the lights didn't work, so all of us were handed these pen things. And,
I really like how Anne-Marie pointed out that they were walking in a brightly, very well lit, stadium type environment. And is she afraid to do press conferences, or why hasn't she done one in so long? 260 days. Some people say she's afraid of flashing lights and too many voices coming at her at one time because of her brain injury or mental health problem.
But they have like video games and studies of video games that some kids who don't have problems will get seizures from some cartoons or video games. I mean, maybe somebody's.
So if Hillary has a seizure from a press conference, I mean, do we blame video games? What are you saying?
You're like, I don't want somebody who has seizures when they play video games to be president either.
I think we just twisted Anne-Marie's words. Anne-Marie, what were you saying though? How are you relating it to that?
Well, I'm saying that if she does have something like Parkinson's or seizures, it shouldn't affect her mental state. Even when I was little, I had seizures brought on by high fevers. And I don't have epilepsy. I don't have a seizure problem. But it was basically just because, like, whenever I had a high fever, I would do that. And I would go
2012, Hillary fell because she was dehydrated from the flu. So, I mean, it sounds like you're talking about some similar stuff here, Anne-Marie. Should we be concerned about your health?
No, my health is fine. I'm saying that people do have blood thinners. People do have health problems out there. People do take medications for a lot of different health things, and it doesn't affect their job. There's a lot of people out there right now on things you don't even know about that look perfectly fine. I'm not on blood thinners anymore, but during my pregnancy, I had to be on them. I had to be
Yeah,
off my
but I
feet.
think a lot of us.
You know.
What about that cough, though? What about that persistent cough and throat clearing? I mean, it affects, like, so many of her speeches and stuff, where she gets really choked up, and then even during her acceptance speech at the DNC, like, she was waiting for applause to do, like, a like a throat clear over and over. Like, I counted, like, 28 times, but...
Yeah, but this is the thing I want to talk about, too, is two more things I want to talk about under the health issue. One is Trump's doctor's note is really questionable. I mean, it was by a gastroenterologist. No, but a gastroenterologist treats tummy aches. I mean, that's what it's not an internist. Hillary actually had an internist. He had a gastroenterologist. Now, the other thing is.
Well, hold on, wait. Let me go to that one first, real quick, just because I'm into like. If you look up the work of Dr. Glidden, he suggests that you have a stomach doctor as your primary doctor because he believes that the entire health of the body comes from your gut and it needs to be started there. If Trump is a believer in that, then that would explain that one. Dr. Glidden did a whole thing about that. Your internist should be a gut guy, supposedly.
Yeah, see, now I believe in, personally, for myself, like I believe in probiotics and taking those things, and I understand that people are saying but if you're going to release you're going to be president and you're going to release a doctor's note, then have a doctor of your whole body, not just a gut specialist. And second, the other thing I want to talk about was, well, actually, there's a couple more things. People were talking about even Ronald Reagan. Like the very same Republicans who I'm seeing in the comment section of a lot of these things, of these stories about Hillary's health, are like very complimentary towards like Ronald Reagan. Now, Ronald Reagan was supposedly, after like 5 years out of office, he was officially diagnosed around like 1994 with Alzheimer's. Now, according to his son Ron Reagan wrote a book, and it was called My Father at 100. Now, he said in this book he could see signs of Alzheimer's while Ronald Reagan was still in office. And, I mean, he could have had Alzheimer's, and I know his doctors
I think he did at the end,
this.
unfortunately. I think he was the great president of our lifetime, but he did make some errors. You mentioned the HIV thing earlier, and I think maybe, well, it wouldn't be an error, but I think he did have Alzheimer's at the end of his second term.
Ronald Reagan had Alzheimer's, and
Helen Caldicott agrees with that, actually.
One of the very first websites that I ever participated in working on when I first started getting into the internet and websites, and during the dot-com boom, was a care facility for the elderly that had Alzheimer's in Los Angeles. And I never met Ronald Reagan, but when we went to the facility to meet with the director, she had a bunch of pictures, her with former President Reagan, and there was a lot of speculation and rumor that he was at that care facility in Los Angeles. I don't know if it's true, but he definitely worked with those individuals at the Alzheimer care unit facility, to my knowledge.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I met Donald Trump. I shook his hand. I met his family, most of them. Melania, so beautiful, and Ivanka, also great, and Donald Jr. I don't think Eric was there or anyone else. I mean, I think they were there, and I saw them, but I didn't meet them per se. But if Donald Trump becomes president, I could say I shook the president's hand back in 2006. And if Hillary Clinton becomes elected president, I won't be able to say that. So my vote's for Trump.
Well, D-Like, I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to go to screen share and keep talking because if I,
Totally admitting my media bias, by the way, everyone. So
this is
when we talk about media bias, just remember I said that. Anyways.
here's some people who are hoping don't meet Trump. This is a group of people about
Okay.
to assault an elderly man, literally beating an elderly man who was a Trump supporter.
Mhm.
And I mean, I get it. You don't like the man, but this here, if they'd have done that to me, you'd be having this conversation with me in a prison cell. I would have beaten that guy in the green. I would have beat his ass down.
That guy in the
Um,
green did it. Good. Can you just hit the replay?
yes, I sure can. Look at this. So first of
Hit
all, the
the
guy.
hit the replay, and this time not why you're playing it, but what we're actually seeing.
Right here is a bunch of protesters about to be. There's a guy in a black right there with a mohawk. He beat the old guy, like started wailing on the old guy. This guy here, and then this guy in the green. I don't know why this guy's just standing here allowing this to happen. I have no idea. That guy
Oh,
right
he's
there.
poking him and punching him and doing stuff to him.
He wouldn't have a face. His mother wouldn't recognize him at
The one
Color
guy
House.
so the one guy was getting escorted out, and the guy in the green was like poking him and doing stuff to him.
Yes, yes. I mean, and I'm serious. If that would have been me, that would not have ended well at all. I mean, you can take so much, but I'm like Alex Jones when he was
You
when
just
he was
start throwing your shoulder into people.
yeah. Once that happens, then it's on. You know, at that point, and once you're attacked. But I came across that this morning and had to share it. Somebody just asked, where is this? It was in Minneapolis. If you're listening on screen share. It's Minneapolis. I've got questions and answers is live, friends. If you wonder what I'm talking about. Um,
Okay. And did you guys see anything this morning about what happened in Turkey at a wedding? And ISIS strikes a wedding party in Turkey that kills 50 plus. Headlines
No.
are saying child suicide bomber was blown up by remote control. Jihadists who try baseball bats, power screwdrivers. Let's click into the top one here. ISIS strikes a wedding party. And Erogan blames child bomber for attack that killed 51. Huh. Suicide bomber aged between 12 and 14 carried out the attack on a wedding in the Turkish city on Saturday that killed at least 51 people. The attack was the deadliest in a series of bombings in Turkey, and President Erdogan said Islamic State was likely behind it. We don't know that yet, but he says it's likely because he says Daesh. He suggests initial evidence says it was a Daesh attack, and Daesh is a derogatory term for the Islamic State. Sam, how do you feel about it?
I think that I think it's obvious. It looks like, for instance, there's this protective shield, if you will, over top of Islam. Whereas if you have, say, I think there's been 11 people that have died. And I'm not saying it doesn't matter, it does matter. But only 11 people have died in abortion clinic bombings in the last, I think, 10 or 20 years. And yet you hear nonstop Christians want to blow up abortion clinics, when very, very few do. But when a rather significant number of Muslims want to hurt people, you're not allowed to mention it or say that these kinds of things exist because there's some kind of safety dome over Islam that I don't fully understand. No, your average Islamist is probably not a problem. The person that left me the question here, if I'm judging by the script, is Islamic. And he asked where the Trump thing was happening at. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about people that are looking to harm somebody else. And I don't care what religion they are, but if a certain number of people from one religion, even if it's only 5 or 10%, that's millions of people, that needs to be addressed. And I think that's what the leader of Turkey is saying.
All right. And Anne Marie, this is really a pretty devastating story. And the Islamic State has been blamed for other similar attacks in Turkey. And today's attack comes with Turkey still in shock just a month after the president and the government survived an attempted coup. If you remember that news that just happened a few weeks ago about the coup attempt. And the bomb today went off as guests spilled out into the streets of the city close to the Syrian border after the traditional henna night party, when guests have their hands and feet painted. Oh, with the henna. That's cool. I like that. Well, the women and children, including a 3-month-old baby, were among the dead.
Hey, D-Lake,
Witnesses,
the gentleman watching with the Islamic-looking script said that this is from Wahhabism, meaning the terrorists of ISIS. So yeah, that he has a point there. We do want to point that it is not your average practitioner of Islam. It is actually a branch of Wahhabism. I don't know what your name is, but thank you for your comments. Go ahead, D-Lake.
Well, that's great, and I would appreciate moderate Muslims and people that know more about Islam and all that than I do. Of course, it's something that I have studied in the past, and certain principles and stuff that I know enough to sort of semi-follow. I'm just a white guy in San Diego, but I know about Ramadan and all this other stuff. And,
So welcome
I listen to some 5% Nation of Islam type rap music and stuff, so I don't know what to tell you.
The X-Clan. But yeah, so welcome aboard. Welcome to the show. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's in a bunch of music and stuff, especially if you go back a little bit, but I think that's a different form of Islam than what we're seeing coming out of the Middle East, where I've never lived. And our thoughts and prayers goes out to the people that were executed in Turkey by a suicide ISIS bomber, which is totally not right. And the way that we can fight their propaganda is with our own. And my propaganda would be, we don't bomb people, okay? Everything's cool as long as you don't bomb shit. Don't set stuff on fire and be an arsonist. Don't just go into a mall or a shopping center or a school or anything and just randomly kill people, because then you're a terrorist. You're creating a terror. Okay?
And I'd like to say, too, we are just as hard on the West.
Why don't you just write about it like Stephen King, the master of terror?
We've always been on this show against people like Obama and Bush that go bombing countries, too, into submission when it doesn't affect us. So I wanted to point out to any new listeners that we're just as hard on the West when they do it, too. Like, nobody here is going to be voting for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
The bombing queen.
I don't know. I think maybe Anne-Marie's going to vote for Hillary Clinton.
I see Anne-Marie going to Stein or Dickie Duncan.
I think Anne-Marie's going to vote Dickie Duncan this year.
Richard, friends, look up Richard Duncan. Right here. Right here. There you go. Dickie Duncan.
We talked a lot about Clinton's health, and that wasn't even in the headlines, but it wasn't in our today's top headlines, but it's been totally in the top headlines. It's something we had to discuss. But also, what about Clinton Cash, Clinton Foundation, the Clinton emails that were deleted? I mean, Anne-Marie, do you think that there's anything there?
Well, it looks like the Senate is having an oversight committee, and they're trying to look at they're investigating basically the investigation. So the FBI was supposed to turn over a lot of Hillary's emails to the Senate Oversight Committee. So the latest news is basically the FBI wants to show transparency. So they are supposedly giving actually a lot of emails to the Senate Oversight Committee.
Didn't you suggest earlier that it might be an overwhelming amount because they were mixing things together,
yes.
Something like that? What's that all about?
Yes. Senator Charles Grassley from Iowa was basically complaining that the FBI released combined classified and non-classified documents. And there's basically two issues from that that they're complaining about. They're saying that the FBI is requiring Congress to maintain the materials, it says, in a secure area accessible only to those who have clearance. And two, Grassley and other Republicans want to publicly release summaries of these emails and new unclassified details about the FBI's server investigation. So the FBI does not want those two things. They're basically making it harder. They're saying the FBI to investigate. They're saying they're making it harder. And then because they combined the unclassified material with the classified material, it's making it so hard and impossible to review these materials because it's so overwhelming. There's so many things to comb through and read. They have to read all these emails, and it's combined. There's like emails in there from her assistant, and like silly emails that are really not really pertaining to this investigation.
Yeah, but I must say that with her assistant being Huma, there might be some new wiener pictures. I'm just saying.
But are you saying that there are in fact 33,000 useless emails about weddings and yoga, or are we going to find some classified stuff and or some Clinton Foundation related pay-to-play type stuff? If we're able to recover all those, but we never will. Right. Is that what you think?
It's going to take them a long time to go through these emails, and there are some classified things and unclassified, according to the Senate Oversight Committee, that they have to go through. And the other thing about these emails is Colin Powell has come up.
That's all. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, he said that he used to use a private email account while he was Secretary of State, but not a private server in his home. And, so that there's a distinction there. He did have a private email account, but not...
He's trying to say when he's at his house and his kid wants to know what time the soccer game is on such and such while he's at school, and he sends him an email. He can get that email on his Gmail account. But when he's at work as the Secretary of State, he's going to handle it on his .gov account, and everything's going to be kosher. And he's not going to be trying to take his BlackBerry into the frickin' secure room.
Right.
I also wanted to say there was a lot less known about server security at the time. Enough to know that he shouldn't have been doing it, I'm sure.
Dude, people have to stop and take a pause and think about that. When Colin Powell was the Secretary of State, he didn't have Pokemon Go. He didn't have Facebook. He didn't have. There was no Twitter. Okay.
The Razor was the new cool phone. Remember the Razor?
He probably had a Razor phone, and dude, everything he had was ridiculous. If he had an email, it probably took a half hour for it to download before he could read it.
He was sending emails on an abacus.
Yeah, I mean, guys, you have to put it in time perspective. Hillary wants to make it sound like Colin Powell sent her a Facebook message that said, "Hey, if you want to use private email, it's all good." I did it. Okay, that's some Back to the Future crap, because if you go back to when Colin Powell was Secretary of State, a secret server in his basement never happened. Let's just put it that way. But in Hillary's case, as technology advanced, it happened. And did she put our national secrets at risk? Most likely. Can we prove it? Well, the investigation is ongoing. I'm D-Lake for Prez. Thank you.
Yeah. Interesting comment from a listener. Again, he said, I'm a Muslim, but we are afraid of this because they don't need logic or anything from this century. I think that is that's a very good comment. Is that the Wahhabis want no logic or reason or things from this particular century, and it reminds me of the Catholic priests. You had a small number of Catholic priests out there molesting children, and the vast majority of priests that never did that to anybody get snickered at when they go to the grocery store. So I mean, that would make sense. That would be something I'm sure would come up. What else do you have, D-Lake?
Moving on.
The only thing with the Catholic priests, though, and this is just because I went to like a Catholic school, they moved those priests around. Like they didn't get
Yeah.
arrested, and it's
No, I
like I
know
know what you're
that.
saying.
But the
Like,
average Catholic priest is still a good man. Your average Catholic priest has never hurt anybody and probably tried to live a really good life. And I'm not even Catholic. But I think
I
that,
just think that
Catholic
like.
priests.
But I think like for any parents out there, and this is just me as like a like a human being who's had life experiences in this world, and I haven't like told all. It seems like I've told you like my whole life story, but basically, if you have a person in a position of power, like a priest, and I've had a lot of friends, and even my brother was an altar boy. You have to be careful. Like even if they're wearing a police uniform, you have to be careful. You can't entrust these people. These are human beings who are flawed. And I know that from my life experiences, seeing these people who are in trusting positions, people put their children in trusting positions with these people like priests, police officers, and this and that. These are still human beings, and my warning to anyone out there is don't let your kids be alone in a room with any of these people because they can get. I don't trust anybody, and I'll tell you this: your kids are not going to tell you. Most of them are not going to tell you. And I was friends with a lot of kids who are altar boys. My brother was an altar boy. I mean, I was in class one day. In class, this kid came in, and we were allowed to leave class and go to church, and especially the boys were altar boys. And he came in, stumbling in, and this was one of my best friend's little brother. He's like a year and a half younger than us. And my teacher said, "What is wrong with you?" And I was in class, and that was his homeroom, and he was just coming back from mass where he was an altar boy. And he said that the priest, now the priest was a Monsignor, so an even bigger, higher up position in the church, he had a headache. And guess what the Monsignor gave him? A Tylenol and let him wash it down with wine. And he came back stumbling and I'm a little kid, so this kid is even like a year and a half younger than me. So what I'm saying is like you have to be careful. These priests are not they do get moved around a lot, and there is pedophilia. They change. I mean, a lot of these altar boys I know in my church change their clothes like in front of the priest. I mean, they put you all in a room. You got to change out of your clothes, and we had school uniforms, and they put things on. I'm just saying I've heard stories, and I've heard stories about these priests. And some of these
Hey,
priests have been moved
come on,
around.
boys. It's changing time. Time
Yeah,
to
and
change. We're going
well,
swimming. Everyone get in your bathing suits.
yeah, and I personally know of a priest that I used to, know and talk to who was accused of pedophilia, and he was moved around, and he was moved to another church. I'm just saying it does happen. It's if I know, I've heard stories, and of course, like
I'm
you
sure it
see
does. I'm sure it does. But to me, that it kind of is in line with the whole, like sort of police story going on nowadays. I mean, like you can't let one bad apple spoil the bunch, Sam. Sam, you can't let one bad apple spoil the bunch.
yeah,
no,
I think that's what's really sad, both with the Wahhabism terrorism that we were talking about, and I was using the analogy of the priest, is that I don't think that's the vast majority of them, but I think that the ones that have been bad have been so very bad that they're the ones that people remember.
Right,
well,
and
I agree.
I
I agree.
support the good in those different things that we're talking about. Among the Wahhabis, I mean, dude, if you see someone getting ready to bomb or do some scary like bombing stuff, like turn them into the proper authorities or something. Especially here in America, okay? But I mean, over there in the Middle East, I mean, that's probably the way you should be thinking as well. I mean, if we can get that message out there. And among, police, like the good police, man, the good cops. I mean, we've all seen the bad cop movies, but like the good cops have to step up and really be the good cops. And
Well, I think.
same goes for teachers, priests, and the whole thing. The good ones need to step up.
But I mean, I want to put it out there that definitely for Muslims. I mean, we have Muslims in this country who are,
Yeah, that's what I was
police
saying.
officers, and yeah, and I agree. Like, and I get what this commenter is saying too, because, but that was one thing I didn't like about Trump, because his message seemed to appeal. Where at one time he said that he didn't, he wanted to kind of ban Muslims from coming into
Well,
this country.
I agree until we can have them vetted properly, because we're not vetting them properly right
Right.
now.
We are.
Like
We are.
Emory, just right there. We're talking about. You're talking. There's a difference between Muslims in America and Muslims outside of America that want to come into America. There's a difference.
And we don't know which ones they are.
We are vetting them. And listen, let me make a couple of points here. We are vetting them.
You do realize the head of the CIA said there's no way we can properly vet them in the numbers that we're getting them. He said that openly.
But see, this is why we should talk more about the 28 pages on the show, because that was the people who were terrorists and came into this country and had something to do with the 9/11 bombings and had ties to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Those people did not come into this country illegally. In the 28 pages, it's students. It was a couple of students.
Well, that's why we want to vet
here.
them better.
Yeah, so why increase the rent? Why take that model and increase that same risk that you're talking about?
Yeah, Anne-Marie, you just mentioned they didn't vet them properly when there weren't many of them, which led to 9/11.
Yeah,
Do you
Jeb
know
Bush
how
in
much
Florida.
worse it's going to be now that we're dealing with this many? This is going to be even harder to do.
But we did vet them, and in fact, they were invited to the Saudi Arabia embassy in Washington D.C.
They were
and there's
hosting
evidence
here in
of that.
San Diego in my
Yeah,
neighborhood.
but that's apples and oranges. You have to remember, Anne-Marie, D-Lake and I both believe that 9/11 was very much an inside job. They weren't being vetted. They were being brought in specifically to do it. They weren't vetting them. They were deliberately letting them in. I agree with you, but that's a different topic. They weren't being vetted. They were being deliberately brought in.
But she brought up the 28 pages, and I mean, how do you feel about that?
I agree with her. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, this was not. We were not trying to vet the hijackers. We were deliberately letting them in. That's why we flew Osama bin Laden's family out right afterwards. I don't think Trump is going to let 9/11 happen the way Bush did. So I don't think that's going to be an issue.
But I think that Trump is using that fear of 9/11 and that, hey, that's why we want to build a wall.
He should. They did a terrible job.
We want to keep out terrorists. We want to keep out rapists and drug addicts. That's really not who's coming in here. I mean, who's coming in here, who we are vetting, are students coming in on student visas. They're workers, people who are coming here to work. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. If you build a wall, it's still, I mean, these people came in, the terrorists came in, whether he built a wall or not. Those terrorists would have came in anyway. And I
don't believe that. I don't believe that.
But they were vetted. They were students. They were students. They were here on student visas.
No, they were not vetted. They were deliberately brought in by Bush to do this. This was not a vetting process. This was a crooked administration that went bad.
But they came here on student visas. I mean, if you built a wall, that wasn't going to keep them in.
But Trump is saying we need to properly vet them, and he's saying I'm not crooked like Bush is to deliberately bring in people that are going to hit the planes into the tower. That was done on purpose. They weren't trying to make sure they were safe, Anne-Marie. They were trying to make sure they were dangerous. They were hired by our government to hit that tower.
So let's take in, Sam.
What do you think, D-Lake?
We'll have to save it for another show. Do you have any science news today, Sam?
I have really odd science news. Let me go up this logo. This is weird. The New Scientist.
Time for Sam's science.
The first evidence that birds nap in flight without dropping out of the sky. Many of you, if you've ever followed any of the science stuff we do, we sometimes go into deep space and other times stay right here on terra firma like this one does. The debate has finally been put to bed. Wearable brainwave recorders confirm that birds do indeed sleep while flying, but only for brief periods and usually with only half of their brain. We know several birds.
You know, okay.
It says
that's how dolphins sleep. They close one eye.
I did not know that. It says there are several species of birds that can travel vast distances nonstop, prompting speculation that they must nap mid-flight. Great freight birds, for example, can fly continuously for up to 2 months. On the other hand, the male sandpiper, for one, can largely forego sleep during the breeding season, hinting that it might be possible for birds to stay awake during longer periods of prolonged trip. So to settle the question, Max Planck Institute of Ornithology in Sweden, Germany, and his colleagues fitted these small brain activity monitors and movement trackers to 14 great freight birds and basically found out they take 12-second naps. They sleep an average of 41 minutes per day in short episodes of 12 seconds each. Not much time for a good dream. By contrast, they slept more than 12 hours a day once they hit land. And I've said for a long time that for many of us, we are able to catch up on sleep and to store sleep. For a long time, people said you could not do that, and I said you most certainly could, and I could feel it.
But you know how they say that like your dreams, like what seems like a really long time, like within the dream is probably only like split seconds in your brain, right?
I don't know. It says some people thought that all their sleep would have the unhemispheric, otherwise they would drop out of the sky, but that wasn't the case. They could sleep with both hemispheres, and they just continue to soar. Sleep typically took place as the birds were circling in rising air currents when they did not need to flap their wings. It says weather eye during this time.
So they can just soar. So they can just take a nap while they soar, right?
Indeed. And it says during the weather eye time, the brain hemisphere connected to the eye facing the direction of turn was more likely to stay awake. This may have been to avoid collisions with other birds that were sleeping in the same air mass, so they know that doing it.
They bounce off each other when they're sleeping.
He said it was interesting because it's familiar to what they've shown in mallard ducks when they're sleeping in a group. The ones on the edge will keep an eye out for the ones facing outwards. And then, of course, there's active sleepiness where freight birds can swim on the ocean, as they can't because they lack waterproof feathers. So the ability to dramatically cut down on sleep may have evolved from necessity. It says if you're a bird that spends your life at sea and can't land on it, those are your only options. So I thought that was interesting. I thought everybody wanted to know about it. And that's our news from the Science Center.
Yeah, dude, Sam, that's like similar to dolphins, like, because I was wondering not that long ago, how did dolphins sleep, right? And they have to be conscious to breathe because they're underwater, right? This means they cannot go into a full deep sleep because then they would suffocate. Dolphins have solved that by letting one half of their brain sleep at a time, and basically they close one eye to shut down half their brain. And they do that for, about 30 minutes. It's longer than 12 seconds, like Sam was talking about with the birds, But this has been determined by doing EEG studies on dolphins, and it's a whole big thing. But, just like Sam brought up with those birds, how do these dolphins sleep? How does a worm sleep, Sam? Do worms go to sleep?
Well, I'll tell you what. Do
other animals have body odor?
They don't need sleep. Sleep is for the birds. Oh,
Sam, you're so hilarious. Anne-Marie, before we get to Sam's obituary section, do you have anything awesome and amazing in entertainment news that we could talk about right now? Or did you have any science follow-up before we get to that?
Let's see.
Are you an animal person, Anne-Marie? Do you have pets?
No, I don't have any pets. I love cats more than dogs.
Okay, that's good.
But
I have. Do you like birds? Would you ever have a bird in your house or a fish?
I used to have fish, and I told you I had a dog for a little while, like a very little while. But
Okay.
yeah, we travel so much. If I got a pet, it would just be too much. We travel
Yeah.
like every 6 months to a year. It's like it
You
would just be.
got a pet would probably overwhelm at this point. We'll just get some stuffed animals, maybe some Pokemon. It's cool. Don't worry about it here. Just check this out. But have you seen anything lately, or what have you been tuned into? I mean, besides the political stuff that we've been talking about, but like anything entertaining when you're taking a break from all that?
Um, let's see. Well, I have a couple of deaths. I have some
Oh, you
science.
have deaths. Did you say
Yeah,
death? Death?
yeah, like two. There's
Wait,
two.
did you say death?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've got everybody doing it now, D-Lake.
Sam, you're the one that brought this on. She just said deaths.
Yes, I've got.
Multiple deaths. Okay, great. You know what, you guys? I'm going to take a short break. Why don't you guys just do the obituary section? Fuck!
Well, Anne-Marie,
Everybody's dying!
before you go to anyone that dies, we'll go to somebody that's still alive. We'll do that first. We'll take D-Lake into this easily.
No, Sam,
But-
you have it all.
but-
No, Sam, you have it all wrong. Save the whoever is still alive till after the obituary column.
No,
please.
because it's bad. It's still bad. It's still bad.
Ah.
So we got this right here. One of the best, maybe the best drummer alive today. One of the best drummers alive today. Ex-Slipknot drummer Joy Jordison reveals debilitating illness. Basically, guys, he's got MS. The former drummer, Slipknot drummer Joy Jordison, might I say, he played with Ministry and did. I've never heard Ministry sound better, and I got to interview Joey afterwards once. Of course, we know that he left Slipknot under less than amicable terms. While accepting a trophy at the Metal Hammer Golden Gods in London on Monday, he revealed he had become stricken with an illness. Towards the end of my career in Slipknot, I got really, really sick with a horrible disease called transverse myelitis, he told the audience, according to Metal Injection. Now, keep in mind, he's a double bass drummer. I lost my legs. I couldn't play anymore. It was a form of multiple sclerosis, which I don't wish on my worst enemy. I got myself back up and got myself in the gym, and I got myself back fucking therapy and to fucking beat this shit. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. He describes this disease, which is a rare inflammatory disease, causing injury to the spinal cord with varying degrees of weaknesses, sensory alterations, and autonomic dysfunction. This is very, very bad news. He says you can beat it if you stay healthy. Friends, I hope it's true, but let's face it, that's very, very bad news for one of the best drummers alive today.
Man, and like, is it the drumming? Drumming is so hard. You have to be like totally like ambidextrous, feet and hands. Like, being a drummer takes a lot of just. Being a drummer is crazy. Drumming is awesome. I appreciate all drummers, man. That's really sad to hear about what this guy's going through, but I think he's gonna pull through. I think he's gonna make it. I think we get him the care and help that he needs, and maybe we can beat this. And if it ends up that we don't, but at least we take something from it that is progressive towards the future, that maybe the next person that has to deal with this, we get them better because something this guy contributed. I mean, I'm all for science and figuring stuff out, and like, I don't want this guy to die or anyone else from this shit, Sam.
Indeed, indeed. Anne-Marie, what do you have? Who's not still with us?
Oh, here we go. Jeez. We need a new theme song. The obituary. The obituary.
All right, Eli.
Okay. Okay, Kenny Baker, the actor behind R2-D2, has died. He was 3'8" actor who starred in 6 Star Wars films, as well as Time Bandits. Oh, I remember that movie when I was little. And Flash Gordon, and he was 81.
I love Time Bandits.
Me too. Oh my gosh, I watched that 100 times. My brother used to always watch that, so I had to watch it too. That was an awesome movie.
I remember Time Bandits, and I remember um, Flash Gordon when he was in Flash Gordon. I knew he was R2D2. This happened a while ago, didn't it? I thought
The
this happened
Mandela effect.
a little while ago.
August 13th, it was reported.
It's the Mandela effect, like.
I knew he wasn't well. Man, I'm gonna miss him. Who else is? No one else can be R2D2. I hope he rests in peace.
I've got one, and this one touches awfully close to home for me. One of many of you know, I'd say one of the bands you do not ever want to miss live is Nine Inch Nails, and if you got to see them during the time that most of you know closer, you can see him right there. James Woolley. Now I've seen some reports say 50. James Woolley dies at 49. Former Nine Inch Nails keyboardist. There he is. James Woolley, who played in the industrial rock band from 91 to 94. Now, we're talking about Head Like a Hole, we're talking about Closer, we're talking about some of the biggest songs that they ever had, Wish, which they got a Grammy for. He died on Sunday, his ex-wife Kate Van Buren announced on Facebook. No cause of death was given, although I did look it up on a separate site. He fell off of a ladder. So he's relatively young, likes electronic music, and dies falling off a ladder. It sounds like something that would happen to me. He was part of the band in 91 when the group recorded The Downward Spiral. That came out in 94, but okay, they're a little bit early on that. Van Buren said that she and Woolley met at a Sunset Social Club in L.A., and that it was love at first sight. She didn't even know he was in Nine Inch Nails until weeks later. Trent Reznor, of course, the leader of Nails, said, terrible news regarding James. I hadn't crossed paths with him for quite some time, but I always thought of him fondly. He was a fun character to be around and a solid musician and a genuinely good guy. Those of us from that era of the band have been sharing James stories, lots of laughs and love and sadness, wishing his family the very best. He was in the band Die Warzau, for those electro heads like I am. He also worked with 2WO. It was the coming out CD, if you will, from Judas Priest's Rob Halford. He also did some sound design on The Simpsons. And they said he played hard. He brought a coolness to playing keyboards. It's not easy to do, such as guitar and drums. And of course, he's survived by Brendan and various members of his family. It's going to Saturday. Yesterday was the funeral. And there's a few pictures of him here. I remember thinking that in the Closure video, the live video from the Downward Spiral, that Woolley seen there didn't get as much attention, I thought, as he deserved on the actual video itself. But I got about 20 seconds left on this. I'm just going to let it play out as I give commentary. And rest in peace, James Woolley, a huge influence on many of us who like and continue to like electronic music, industrial music. If you listen to some of the keyboard work that he does on The Becoming from the Downward Spiral, it's one of the most complicated time signatures you've ever tried to play. And I think it's a 6 followed by a 7, and then it switches to a 3/4. I remember at one point our old host Kyle had said Nails music was easy, and I remember telling him he listens to the wrong Nails. So rest in peace, Mr. Woolley. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. And Amory, do you have one more in today's column?
Yes. John McLaughlin. Do you remember on Saturday Night Live in the 90s, they used to make fun of McLaughlin, like Dana Carvey? Well, anyway, he was on PBS. John McLaughlin, veteran TV host, dies at 89. He was the host of the McLaughlin Group, and for the first time, it says, according to this article, the first time in 34 years, 7 months, and 1 week, he missed a show. And then he died that Tuesday. And he was 89 years old. They said that he was a former Jesuit priest, a teacher, a pundit, and a news host. So he was on that show for 34 years on PBS. So anyway, that's what I had. That was the last one.
I was just trying to find him on a search. I don't think I found the right guy, but he was on PBS, huh?
Yeah, it's McLaughlin, McLaughlin. Do you remember like Billy Idol was on like Saturday Night Live and they made fun of the McLaughlin group on Saturday Night Live? There he is, that first picture.
Oh, okay, I got you. I got you.
They had like a group of guys and they had Billy
Oh,
Idol on in the 90s. It was hysterical. Dana Carvey played John McLaughlin. It
okay.
was so
Okay.
funny.
He was on PBS, right? Okay.
Yeah. And the only
I
other
mean,
story
I used to watch so much of that. Like, I mean, just because of like my dad and stuff. Like, I would watch like like 60 Minutes and the old PBS, the old news, the Broke Off, and all the old stuff, right?
Yeah, and it was still on the air, which is surprising.
I mean, there
like
was
Pat
only 6
Buchanan was on there.
channels. There was only 3 channels. Well, what else? What the hell else was I gonna watch now? Then cable came along, and these guys were like, "Oh yeah, we're screwed."
Yeah, he always had on Pat Buchanan and the old school people.
Well, who's this other guy playing the guitar? That's not him.
No.
He's the reporter guy from PBS. All right, great. Well, we had quite an extensive obituary column today. Let's just can we take a moment of silence? Let's just take a moment of silence on today's report after the obituary. Thank you. Great.
Indeed.
Anything else that we have in entertainment to liven up the show? Now, there was a new Rogue One trailer. I don't want to show it to get this video banned, but it looked pretty awesome. What were you going to say, Emery?
Pieces of it. I won a dispute the other day on YouTube. They told me I couldn't use the JFK assassination video, and I said it was public domain, and I actually won. Just saying.
Oh, good.
You won the debate. All right. Well,
give us a look.
Sam's saying to go for it.
But cut it up. Cut it up. Cut it up heavily. Cut it up a lot.
I was going to set up to play a little something. Emery, what do you have? Go ahead.
They're in France. This is a story on MSN.com. France has a burkini ban. It's burkini bans cause ripples in France. And these women are Muslim and they're wearing traditional Muslim garb. It's like head to toe, they're kind of covered. And they're banning this. They actually, which is unusual because in France, there's sections of France where they have totally naked people or at least topless people, and they're banning these women who are Muslim who want to wear a full-on burkini, which I think is ridiculous. They should have the freedom to wear whatever they want. But it sounds like in France they're really cracking down on Muslim garb over there. So it's much different from the U.S.
And the reason for that is a lot of them are using it to hide bombs in when they're blowing things up over there.
But this burkini is ridiculous. I mean, you should see a picture. It's like, I don't know if I could pull it up, but...
Do you got a burkini for us? Oh, no, he's got a Darth Vader.
A brokini?
I'll try to do it.
A what?
A burkini.
It's a burkini.
Oh, a burkini. Oh, did you see... Remember that clip from the Olympics where the Germans were wearing just, bathing suits and, skimpy kind of, butt huggers, and then the Egyptians were wearing full burkinis?
Well, that's what this is, and they're banning it in France.
Burkini swimwear images.
There it is.
Oh, now you can't have that in France? You can have that in France, dude. You can wear whatever you want. I mean, this is a little bit weird when you're like, hey, we're from France and we wear nothing, and you wear everything. You're like a a seal. You're like a different creature than us.
You look like the creature from the lower tar pits. Remember that old movie, The Creature from the Lower Tar Pits?
All I'm going to tell this lady right here is you're going to have a fucked up tan. Well, you're not going to have a tan.
Well, she won't get sunburned.
Oh, I was on Anne-Marie's reaction the whole time. Here you go. I switched the camera. Okay, so here's the burkini, right, guys? Okay. And there's the picture I was just talking about. These girls are like, what?
My name is D-Lake, and I wear a burkini.
We can all get along. We can all get along.
Say it, D-Lake. My name is D-Lake, and I wear the burkini. No.
Yeah, you won't get sunburned, D-Lake. You don't need you don't need sunblock.
You see, I could just see his D-Lake's beard sticking out of a burkini.
Oh, he'll be targeted. The NSA.
You guys are hilarious.
Well, you don't want us talking about dead people, so we put you in a burkini.
Let's go to the Rogue One trailer.
Okay, I'm gonna mute out.
We're probably gonna have to get through a quick commercial break. Let me mutate. Mute.
Fine.
Oh, there's a girl in a bikini rapping as she walks through the school classroom.
Yeah, Google got your search already. You might want to mute this out or you're going to get nailed for this.
Oh, that's an ad. Yeah, I should mute that. I thought that was only in my headphones. I hit mute before it started and then it unmuted. Oh, here we go. We gotta unmute now. Star Wars. Rogue One.
The world is coming undone. Imperial flags.
Okay, we're commenting. We're watching. We're commenting. We just saw what looked to be everyone's favorite actor.
Is this Adams again? Because I wasn't crazy about some of the crash scenes he had.
Sammy just screwed me up.
Is this Abrams again, director?
His name? Oh man, come on, Forrest Whitaker. Forrest Whitaker.
The director.
The world is coming undone.
Oh, the director? I don't know.
Imperial flags reign across the galaxy.
Can you be trusted without your shackles?
Let's just get this over with, shall we? We've a mission for you. A major weapons test is imminent. We need to know how to destroy it.
Okay, Sam, you're seeing those pictures of the Death Star. How do you feel about it? We're commenting on the video.
I was wondering, I'm like, is that the Death Star? It is the Death Star. Yes, I was hoping it was.
The Death Star is the Death Star? All right.
No, I was hoping that's what it was.
Oh, yeah. I believe the whole plot of this movie, Sam, is getting the plans to destroy the Death Star. As IG, this movie takes place before the very first Star Wars movie that you ever saw. Episode 4, A New Hope. Right? So
yes.
this
isn't the one that a certain major character just died in.
Right. That's further into the Star Wars future, the canon. This is going back to the canon. This is going back to... Look at that. It just looks so damn beautiful! Emery, do you think it looks beautiful? Emery, can you hear me? Oh, you're on mute. Unmute, Emery. Emery.
Oh, well, it looks kind of dark. I love Star Wars. I've seen them all. I didn't like, Jar Jar Binks, of course, in Star Wars, but I'm excited.
Okay. So far, we're not seeing any Jar Jar Binks, but Emery says it looks a little dark, but we're going to continue watching.
We destroyed our home. I fight the Empire now.
I fear nothing. All is as the Force wills it.
The captain says you are a friend.
I will not kill you.
Thanks. There isn't much time.
I like that bot.
Every day they grow.
That droid? You like the droid?
Yeah, you don't see a lot of them, but I like them.
He's like, my captain says not to kill you, so I will not kill you. That was pretty tight, right? This guy right here? Yeah, that droid, right? He's more robotic robot. He's sort of like...
He's badass. I like him.
He's reveal on steroids.
I will not kill you.
Thanks. There isn't much time. Every day they grow stronger.
Oh, shit.
There is a 97.6% chance of failure.
He means well.
This is our job.
Oh!
Too many spoilers. I don't like the ad. I don't like it. They're showing too much of it.
Alright, I'm gonna cut it off. I'm gonna cut it off.
Disapprove.
Disapprove. You didn't like what seeing that guy bomb that ad at? Oh, here she comes. Oh, here's the signature pic. Okay, just one more spoiler, Sam. Look at that picture. She's all like face to face with like a TIE fighter. Oh, snappity snap. They're like, we got this. There she is. Rogue One. Dun dun dun. I don't know why this video song looks like that was it. Oh, okay, and there was Vader, and you heard him breathing if I had the sound on. It was like... I don't know what all this is. Okay, that looks like behind the scenes, Sam. I don't want to spoil too much for you. Okay, that's it. That's all you get.
I think that's best, because they always do that. They give too much of the media away.
Yeah. I don't want to see what the rest of that is, but I don't want to spoil too much for Sam. I know how much he hates that.
Go ahead, play the rest of it.
All right. Just see what it is.
I'm not going to pay much attention. I'm going to look away largely.
Pretend you don't see this, Sam. Is this part of it? This is like the slow motion version.
It's like the fantasy you always have as a kid. Everywhere is an amazing shot, an amazing character.
It's about the humanity of it.
This is kind of a behind-the-scenes thing, Sam.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just makes the whole thing so real.
Ready? Action!
Oh, old school stormtroopers!
Your heart's beating and you're actually in this situation. You get something very genuine that you couldn't have planned.
You'll actually...
Now it's sick, right? The way that they're like moving the cameras in and out. You guys, what do you think, Emery?
I like the original Star Wars, like with Han Solo. I mean, I love that. This isn't like anything like that. I'm not liking this. I'd rather watch the original Star Wars trilogy like a million
Well, yeah,
times.
but they're getting a little old to continue making movies. So the only way to keep it going is to do it this way because Princess Leia and that's getting old.
Yeah,
they're getting up there.
I just fell in love with those characters. I love Han Solo. These characters I'm not really into these characters. I don't know. It just was such a better movie back then.
Well, hopefully, once we see them, we'll care about these characters as much. But that remains to be seen. We can hope.
All right, I had to switch back to headphones after playing all that stuff. But Emery, it sounds like if a movie doesn't have Han Solo in it, you're just not for it. If a Star Wars movie doesn't have Han Solo in it, you're just like.
Yeah, do a prequel of Han Solo. Do that. I'd watch that. I love.
That's the next thing that they're gonna do.
That's what this is leading up to.
It's leading up to a young Han Solo is supposed to be the next, because this is part of the like anthology, right, Sam? Like this is like a prequel but postquel to the prequel before the Star Wars that we know. So it's like a reboot, prequel, requel, something. But that's what's so cool about it. It's part of an anthology, so it'll just fit in wherever it wants. And then they're going to follow that with a part 2, with episode 8, which will be a sequel to The Force Awakens that came out last year. And then the following year, they're going to have the young Han Solo movie with, like, young Boba Fett and young, like, everybody.
Yeah, but, like, you know...
Boba Fett is my favorite. Boba Fett is my favorite.
Greedo will be there, Boba Fett, Hammerhead might show up. You know, you never know.
Maybe
yeah,
Bosk.
Usually...
Bosk will be there. IG-88 will be there.
But these introductory movies should be more exciting. I mean, usually the sequel is, like, less exciting than the original. And I know this isn't, like, the super-duper original, but we were talking last year about Suicide Squad, and maybe that's an intro for doing more with the Joker, you know, doing more, you know, of his backstory or just more of him being a villain. But it's like these movies kind of look sucky. I mean, they're like, oh, well, we're introducing the characters. I mean, you should be introducing them in a better way. Like, get me excited, suck me in, so I want to see this. I mean,
I heard a thing this week though about the Jared Leto thing, because remember we talked a little bit about the Suicide Squad controversy with Jared Leto. He didn't really say, like, fuck this movie and fuck, like, the directors. It was like in his contract it said while you're playing the Joker you can't, like, go mountain climbing or play basketball and do, like, extreme sports, and he was like, fuck it. He wasn't saying fuck the movie, he was just saying F, like, not being able to, like, do those things that I do.
Who was it?
So it got sort of skewed to say that it was against the, like, I mean, he was telling the people that contracted him, obviously the Warner Brothers, but he wasn't saying fuck Warner Brothers, he was just saying fuck their some of their stupid rules. You know what I mean?
Who?
That's not what I read. I read
Jared Leto. I don't know.
Yeah, but he's giving a lot.
Jay Leno's gonna play the Joker?
Jared Leto.
What? Jared Leto already was the Joker.
Oh, I thought you said Jay Leno. I thought you said Jay Leno.
Oh, Jay Leno.
Like, what the hell?
Jay Leno, Jared Leto? Okay. I'll give you that one. You thought Jay Leno was going to be the Joker?
I was like, what the hell?
He's not going to be the Joker. That's hilarious. Guys, I think it's been a pretty great show. How do you feel about it? And did we do good? And is there anything else you wanted to get out before we wrap it up?
Oh, yes. I want to get out one more thing because I was, like, insulted, like, the last video. Someone said I talk about old news. I'm going to talk about something today. So,
wait, I insulted you?
I hope not, unless that was you. Was that you who left that comment that I talk about old news, week old news?
I don't think I saw this Batman, Delay. When did this come out?
Suicide Squad?
Oh, that's what it was. I heard that was terrible. All right, I didn't realize that's what it was. Is it awful? I've heard it was awful.
I liked it.
Okay, but today. This is today's news. August 21st. That's today. 1 year from today, there's a 1 year countdown for next year, August 21st, 2017, for a solar eclipse. This is the first time in nearly 4 decades we're going to see a first total solar eclipse visible in the continental U.S. And it's going to go from Oregon coast through Idaho, Wyoming, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So if they say that 12 million people or so live within that narrow band, and they could maybe it would be like a day's drive to go see this total solar eclipse. So okay. August 21st, 2012.
Sam, is it just me or is Amory getting a little robotic? I heard we're expecting a solar eclipse in the next year. Is that what's going to happen? And Sam, did you notice that Amory, you're something's going on? You're getting a little robotic-y. Sam.
Yeah, you're starting to break up a little bit, Anne-Marie, but what she was saying is a year from now we're going to have a major solar eclipse, friends. and it's going
That
to
would
be
be awesome.
quite a drive. Where is it at again?
It's going to be, you can see it if you live in the Oregon coast. Can you hear me? Or am I robotic?
The Archean Coast, friend. The Archean Coast.
And
Yeah, Emily, you're
Idaho-
starting to break up a little bit, but look, we're gonna wrap it up. Everyone, be on the lookout for a solar eclipse a year from now. I'm D-Lake for Prez. Everyone, thank you for joining us on the show today. I think we covered a wide spectrum of news, very entertaining as well. I mean, I'm hyped up for everything that we talked about, and it's just so great how we come together and do a show like this. We're going to be moving soon to YouTube Live, so everyone stay tuned for that. Like I said in the beginning, we're going to get really shitty, divisive graphics. I mean, awesome ones that totally promote us together as a team. We're going to form together like Voltron. It's going to be awesome. We might get some more people to come be on the show. I think 5 is a good number, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll see how it goes. All right, I'm D-Like for Prez. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Sam, where can people find you on the internet?
YouTube.com/thecorrectviews. We've also got Tumblr account, as well as you can get a hold of me at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com. And look forward to hearing from all of you. Make sure we'll keep the question and answer open as much as we can. And Marie,
Sam clinging to 2008 there with his Tumblr and Hotmail accounts. Anne-Marie, where can people find you on the internet?
Tumblr wasn't around in 08.
Right here on Media Speaks on YouTube.
You'll find us on YouTube on the Media Speaks. Everyone check that out whenever you can. Just do it.
Pour juice on your chin.
I'm sorry, Anne-Marie, what'd you say?
I didn't say anything.